This is video 221. It's about the action moving average. It first sets a beginning position for X and Y. It then goes around a loop for P of 40, and down here next P, changing 20 at a time until it reaches 100. P is going to be used for a percentage. That percentage will start at 40, then become 60, then 80, and then 100%. After the 4, it sets A to the beginning X value that's given up here. Then it says move 100 values from the list ran V to the list value. Ran V is a list of random numbers that vary from 0 to 9,999. Next it says, make a moving average out of those 100 values using the percentage of P, which we realize is first going to be 40%. So that means each value is 40% of itself plus 60% of the previous average value. Moving average. Then for I equals 0 to next I 79, one at a time, it's going to create 80 values, that's 0 to 79 offsets. First going to set the X value at offset 0 to that A value. Then it's going to add 8 to A. This is going to happen to A every time it goes around. So the X values are going to start at 200 and then move 8 at a time across the screen. Next, it's going to calculate what the Y value is going to be. It sets V to that random number average that it has at offset 20. Not at the beginning of the moving average values, but offset already 20 into that list. The reason for that is it takes a while for the moving average list to stabilize. So you don't want to start at the first number if what you're trying to do in this case is have 40% of the new number and 60% of the previous average. So you move in on the list. So we always start 20 into the list, or whatever you think is necessary to get it to stabilize. So we're going to get that value. Then we're going to divide it by 128. Well, we know that value can go from 0 to 9,999. It's not likely to be either one of those ends. But if it were, it divides it here by 120. Therefore, the number is really 0 to 80, minimum to maximum. Then it sets the Y value for this combination of X and Y to the base Y value, alright, which is up here, 100. And then it subtracts from it this value that it got from our moving average values. That is the next Y value. Then it does that for offset 0 to 79, meaning there's 80 of them. Well, then it does an interesting thing here, and I'm just going to tell you what this is without explaining a lot about it. It needs to finish the polygon. So it says, well, I'm going to add an 80th position for X and Y, And that is, I'm going to have the base y value as the y value and the a as the next one 8 over. Then I'm going to make a value back to the beginning, which is our original x and y. And then I'm going to make another point that takes it to the starting point, which was x and y value beginning. Alright, then from those values, it does a dot p for those 83 values and makes itself a dot list, which can be used to make a polygon fill. It's going to make it a color of dark green, and then it's going to do the polygon. Well, now we're going to issue this, execute it. We're going to turn on the trail. We're going to advance to the first halt, which was in that routine right after it drew the polygon. We'll go over the last things it did at the end, which were to complete the polygon. It went from this last value, 8 positions out, and the original y value. Then it went across the bottom here, made this point, which is the original xy, and then it went to the first calculated point up here. So those last 3 points were merely to finish this polygon so it could fill it in. Well, this is the polygon it drew when it was 40% of the new value and 60% of the old average. Well, let's advance. This one, it was 60% of the new value and 40% of the old average. Then 80% of the new value and only 20% of the previous moving average. And the last one, this one is 100% of the new value and no relationship to the previous value. So this is really a plot of all the random numbers that it used. Alright, that is an explanation of the moving average action, and this is video 221.